Chapter 13, Outskirts of Chokecherry. Casey slowed his gov ride to a crawl as he navigated a pothole-filled minimum maintenance road next to the oil drill site. He rolled down his windows and could hear the chug of heavy equipment engines. There were construction workers wearing safety vests and hard hats, scrambling around the drill, clearing trees. One worker popped out of the cabin of an excavator as Casey passed. He spoke into a radio, his eyes never leaving Casey. Casey's father had told him horror stories about the Valdez spill in Alaska from his first year as a park ranger in 1989. He and many of his fellow classmates were surged to Alaska to help with the cleanup, but the damaging effects of the oil industry didn't really register with Casey until he turned 10 years old. He, along with his brother and father, traveled down to Louisiana in 2010 to volunteer to help the wildlife impacted by the Deepwater Horizon disaster. He recalled helping wounded pelicans drenched in crude oil try to clear their mouths so they could breathe. The bitter smell of the oil lingered in their hair and skin long after they finished their volunteer service. Entire populations of sea turtles, dolphins, and whales destroyed by that one incident. So when Geronimo mentioned he had positions in the oil industry, Casey knew he could never consider it. But he wondered if he could use Geronimo's help in determining this oil operation next to Knife River. Now, next to park grounds, Casey parked his vehicle and grabbed a pair of binoculars. He wasn't sure what he could glean from exploring the area, but he wondered if he could find a concealed place to get a closer look at the oil drill workers. He also wanted to explore the area where the buffalo cow had been killed to see if he could find any clues. The Park Service had blocked off this section of the park to protect the fragile soil near the riverbank. Casey was careful to step on patches of grass and reeds so he wouldn't damage the soil. He reached the riverbank and searched until he found the spot where the mother buffalo had been killed. Dried blood was visible in the soil, and an implant from the buffalo's body remained. Cursing the senseless killing, he walked along the riverbank and found bullet casings from the shooter. He pocketed the casings and continued upstream. Hondo's dock across the river was visible, and he wondered how close he was to Parsons' property line. A rumble from an engine intensified, and Casey moved toward it. He came out of the tall reeds and saw a man riding on top of a blue ATV. The man pulled back on the handbrakes and skidded to a stop a few feet in front of Casey, eyeing him. Casey felt his heartbeat increase. The man wore a military camel bucket hat with fishing lures attached to the sides. If he had a weapon on him, he would draw and pull the trigger at the man who murdered the buffalo until the clip emptied. Casey looked at the man's wrist and his eyes widened. Sunto Kor. The man raised his wrist. Yeah, you're the G-Shot guy from P's and Q's last night, the one with the loud frame. He can get carried away, but he mostly means well. Casey fantasized, bashing the man's skull in. How are the Indian villages holding up these days? The man peered down at the ranger's name tag. Ranger Clay? Trading among the tribes, still thriving? Casey narrowed his eyes. They were until all these modern oilmen came in and took over their land. Are you the owner of this property, Parson? The man scrunched his forehead. No. Parson hit the oil lottery and hired us to come in and drill on his land. He left on the first plane out of Chokecherry International on an extended vacation. Somewhere down in the Caribbean. Or was it Mexico? Is that so? And what did you say your name was again? I didn't. The man flashed a sinful grin. Look, Ranger Clay, this is private property and I need to get back to work. One of my guys spotted your vehicle and I wanted to make sure no one was trespassing on either of our lands. I see. Well, thanks for checking on that. Casey looked toward Knife River and then back at him. We had reports of injured buffaloes in the area. Do you know anything about that? The man shook his head. I know the owner had some bison, but I believe he sold them when he found out about the oil. Can't help you there. I guess I'll let you get back to it. Thanks for stopping by and for looking out for our treasured national land here along Knife River. Hope to see cheaper prices at the pump soon. Hilarious. The man's tone was flat. I'll let you get back to trading your pelts down at the Indian markets and we'll keep an eye out for any stray bison. Oh, one more thing, Casey said. How are they biting these days? Excuse me? I mean the fish. You have a silver lure on the side of your hat. The man's hand dropped by his waist and Casey noticed a bulge sticking out of his shirt. I do well most days when I can get out on the water. I can imagine setting up a new oil drill takes all your fishing time away. Something like that. Well, if you see any injured buffalo, please call the Knife River National Park office and we'll come and assist. I'll do that. The man shifted the ATV into gear. I better get back to it. Casey peered at the man and it took all his willpower to not attack him. See you around. I hope not. You're damn right, Casey thought.